Just welcome everybody and good morning. I think everybody here is a regular, so we all know each other, or at least you know me. I'm Jeff Martin Hawk. And for the next 4 weeks, we're going to have Simpler Living presenting here in the forum as our Creation Care Month begins. We will have a couple of other things going on as well that I'm sure Simpler Living will make you aware of too, but I want to bring to your attention. So the forum is going to have a number of presenters, including some of our own folks, as well as some outside speakers. And Simpler Living, I'm sure we'll talk more about that as they begin their presentation in a few minutes. We also have Creation Care Sunday, which the Sunday is, I think, April 24th. But Simpler Living is also working on one of our Thursday night services as being a Creation Care Thursday night service. So if you are interested in that, I really am looking forward to seeing how that shapes up on April 22nd. So we have a lot of things going on with Simpler Living and Creation Care. I hope Creation Care is a year-round activity for everyone, but we have a special focus on Creation Care during this month in particular. So with that, I think
we do have our speaker.
All right, well, I'll turn it over
Mia.
to
Hi,
you.
Mia.
Hi, Mia. I'll turn it over to whoever would like to introduce me or say a prayer or however that's going to go.
Okay.
Yeah, my presentation does a pretty good introduction of me, so I'd almost rather save it for that, but I'm happy to pray with you all.
Okay, we would love that. Thank you. And Mia, everybody, this is Mia Vaughnes from Good Neighbor Gardens. I'm so happy to have you. Take it away, Mia.
Oh, okay. So what I'm going to try to do, which I'm not very good at, is I'm going to try to share my screen. Let me see if I can grab this. If not, I may have to have one of you do the presentation for me, because this is the one part that I get tripped up on. Now, oh boy, let's see. Present. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
You see my presentation? Is it in?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great.
It's full screen now.
Okay, it's full screen. Let me see if I can just kind of tile it a little bit. Please stay. Yeah, that's hard for me. Okay, well, we'll just start here. So what if people, this is the question that we have in front of us. What if people chose to use their yards to grow food for themselves? Because some people actually have the space and the desire, even in a small yard. And some people have the know-how. This is my crew. To make it happen for those who are gracious enough to share the bounty. And there's plenty of farmable space in the city. So that was the same yard from beginning to end. Let me see if I can find a way to get this so that other neighbors who don't have the space to grow their own food can have access to nutrient-dense, hyper-local organic harvest. And what if there were gardens all over town? I mean, what if we install them in every neighborhood? This is up in Rancho Santa Fe. The last garden was in Del Cerro. How much food could we grow together? So this is a mother-daughter. They found the garden to be a place where they could connect. She's an adolescent and was kind of recoiling. So it's been really nice to be able to work with them together and bring them together. And it brings them a lot of joy and brings us a lot of joy. So. And lots of nutrients. As a matter of fact, we can introduce people to new foods. I hope you can hear me. There's a fire truck going on outside. introduce people to new foods that they may not have seen before, at least new varieties of foods that they have seen before. So we can grow heirloom and things that people have used culturally, but other people haven't, and then share the bounty and share the knowledge. We might just have food growing out of our ears. That's one of my farmhands who's proud of the cucumbers that she was able to grow in that yard. And the gracious neighbors who live there, they usually say, take what you need, share it with others. There's more than we can eat here at home. And that makes some people pretty happy. We could gather all the extras from all the gardens in town and make beautiful harvest boxes to deliver to people who subscribe to a bi-weekly share. And it's like Christmas every other week to receive one of those boxes with all that food grown with love in the neighborhood. We could even save seeds for future food security so we can continue to grow more and more food. People and their dogs will love being outside, and they'll literally dig being a part of this process. And maybe just maybe more people would eat salads with their pizzas and be healthier. So why does growing food at home matter? You know, it's fun and it's beautiful and it's a leisure pastime in some people's minds, but really what we're trying to do here is save the world. Well, you and I know we can't save the world, but we can certainly do some things that are very constructive for preserving the quality of life that we all hope to enjoy. So when you grow food, when you plant things in the ground, those plants photosynthesize and they essentially draw carbon out of the atmosphere. And as you know, we have excess carbon in the atmosphere. And so every garden is essentially a carbon sink. And so farming at home is an activity of carbon sequestration. And if it's done professionally, then there's plenty of food available that we can then share, which makes food accessible and more people secure with good food. And we do it in a way here at Good Neighbor Gardens that is very zero waste in our approach. We reuse and we recycle, and we even take our green waste and we turn it into soil. So we have our subscribers actually helping us to farm. And that builds beautiful community connections. And we're able to bring people to work with us through a few programs where we can teach people the skills of growing food by doing so in their yard. So we end up with a more connected, more diversified gut biome. And so we really are pretty happy with the social impact that we've been able to make here in San Diego to both the neighbors and the planet. So we call it an urban sharecrop, and it's a model that offers solutions to most of our most pressing environmental and economic and societal concerns. We really feel like it's a way to bring people outdoors, bring people together, and bring health to people, even if they don't know that they need it. So my name is Mia Vaughnes, and I started Good Neighbor Gardens 8 years ago with my partner in 2013. And we install and maintain edible gardens for people in their yards. And we do that in order to grow as much food as we can so that we can make it available and accessible. And it's really at its heart and soul a community development project designed to get rid of or dispel the food disparities in the city, but also to help bridge gaps with folks so that they can get to know one another and they can feel like they're contributing positively to each other's lives. My screen looks a little fuzzy. I hope yours doesn't. Does your screen, are you able to see the image? No?
Yeah, the image there is fuzzy.
I wonder what happened. That's weird.
I
Well,
can the one big farm.
yeah, so basically we are trying to build one big farm in the city, one garden at a time, and we're doing it. We're teaching people how to grow their own food. there's a wonderful little video that I wanted to share with you, but unfortunately the image isn't presenting now, so I'm not sure what to do about that. But let's see if I maximize this. No. Can you still see this window? Carolyn, are you seeing it? Yeah.
It's blurry, but
Yeah. That's pretty much the presentation. I did have a little video to show you the one of the gardens in the yard, but that's okay. That's pretty much what we do, and I'd love to take questions or have a little discussion.
Okay, I guess you can raise your hand or you can put them in the chat and then I'll take them from the chat and give them to Mia, but since we're essentially finished with the presentation, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, Mia, I might have been busy trying to do some technical stuff, but one of the things when I first heard you, for everybody, Mia presented to the diocesan justice and goodness, peace and justice, not peace and justice. What is it?
Service and Justice.
Service and Justice, thank you. Service and Justice Forum about a year ago. And of course it was on Zoom. And I said, I believe she was even driving from her, her business up to North County for something. But here she was speaking to us. And I was so inspired by Mia, by your story about how you conceived of how it came to you. Really, you were inspired. It was a God moment for you.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you could share that, I think we'd love to hear.
Oh, I'd love to. So, I was a financial planner for 24 years and I'm older than I look. My daughter is 30. She lives in Barcelona and it was a great career. And I have absolutely, I felt like I was so blessed to have something so consistent and lucrative to raise my daughter on. But in 2008, I started seeing a gentleman and he asked me, he said, would you like to read a book together? And it was A Purpose-Driven Life. And so we read that book together and we prayed together. And one of the very first gifts that he offered me when we were reading this book and praying daily, is he said, can I build you a garden? And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a treasure. This gentleman is a treasure. And so I thought, well, of course. And so he built this garden for me. And I just remember him on his hands and knees planting a beautiful little kumquat tree. And it was like I could see that he was just massaging the earth with his whole heart and soul. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the man, right? And so anyway, that was just a little ornamental garden. But then when the springtime came, he says, okay, now I'd like us to build a garden, an edible garden together. And so we did that and we prayed over every seed that went in the ground. And I'm telling you, it was the most bountiful experiment I can ever imagine. We had more food than we could actually eat, but he had taken a job in San Jose. So that's where we built the garden. So he didn't know very many people. And I thought, oh, it's so tragic. We're composting 2/3 of what we've grown here. And it's really a representation of our love for God and our love for one another and our faith. And look at how God provided, look at the provisions. And I thought, this would be so much sweeter if we were able to share it, the provision of the Lord and his faithfulness. And, there's a verse that says, God has revealed himself in all the things that he's created. And so, we just thought, well, this is how we can express to others how real and how good God is. And so I was standing in the window and I said, I think I'm hearing something. I think we need to start a project, I guess a business. I wasn't thinking a ministry because I want to reach as many people as possible. And I said, I think we're going to start something that has the word good in it and love your neighbor in it. And we got to teach people how to garden. And so I said, we're going to start Good Neighbor Gardens. And he said, it was kind of quiet for a couple, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds. And he said, okay. So that's how it started. And since then, we've installed over 280 gardens in people's yards. We've, you know, hired and trained, I think, about 35 people over the course of the last 8 years that act as personal farmhands for people in their yards, teaching them how to grow their own food and helping to manifest that. And so they are establishing a conscious relationship with the homeowner. They establish a conscious relationship with the land, which I consider to be this sensitive membrane of love and promise that surrounds people at their home, which is their garden. And we've taught in 14 schools. We wrote our own curriculum that basically teaches children the goodness of putting their hand into nature and into the soil and seeing what they can, if they can cultivate life, which is a way for them to basically mimic what God does for us, right? So it's just been the most rewarding, the most bountiful, the garden stories of sharing, because this farm that we've built one garden at a time really depends on the graciousness of others. It's sort of a Robin Hood project in the sense that people who have space, they have a yard, they have a home, and they have a certain consciousness where they want to share. They're the ones that make this all possible. And so we can actually take that seed and we can send it to the furthest degree possible, which is to the homeowner first. They eat their fill. Whatever it is that's growing there, they get first dibs. Whenever there's too much, they determine whether that's the case and how much they want to share. And then we're able to offer that to people who subscribe. And a portion of that money actually helps us to educate and hire and train. And then we always end up with too much, even after we filled our subscriptions. And so that food we had been donating to charity. And currently we donate to God's Extended Hand, which is downtown, because they're making 14 meals a week for the unsheltered. And also we donate to Jewish Family Services because many of our gracious neighbor homeowners that have gardens are Jewish. And that particular organization is doing amazing things for refugees and shut-ins and people who are unsheltered. They have a safe parking program where people who are living in their cars can go and park their car, and they have a gated guard and a guarded gate, I should say, where people can feel secure at night. And they have a food pantry where it's beautiful because the people can go and visit the food pantry, and it's on a point system. It costs more points to get an unhealthy item and it's 0 points to get a healthy item. So that's just so great. And one of our gracious neighbors started the food pantry there. So this is a way for her to continue her ministry. So it's just been, and as a matter of fact, the woman that drives the harvest boxes to the door was one of the people that is living there in the safe parking program in her van. She just now got her own home. So we're super excited about that. But during COVID, she was the one that delivered about 80% of the harvest boxes to all of the subscribers. We currently have about 150 harvest box subscribers, and she's been delivering about 100 of those a month. So it's just been really, really amazing. And we distribute every week. So that's twice a month that she's doing that. She does it every week, but that's about 200 boxes a month that she's been distributing. So the stories of her, coming into to better health and her getting housed, I mean, it's just been amazing. So that's how God is. And that's how this project is. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have a question, which actually I was going to ask a similar one. How does the program work for homeowners that may want to host a garden, or for consumers that want to subscribe to a food basket? And so as part of that, I wanted to add on, how much space, do we need to have? And I believe you have vertical gardens as well as.
We do have vertical gardens. The vertical gardens at this point, we are not really offering to just the homeowner, because we're actually trying to put these vertical gardens in a place where we can put probably 6 of these murals, or 6 to 10. And the murals are 5'9", 5 feet 9 inches high. They're 9 feet long.
Okay,
They're
so a
only
lot of space.
They're 1 foot wide, so they are very space efficient. They're a measurable way for us to feed people on a regular basis. So we did set one of these up for Voices of Our City Choir, which is this choir that is comprised of sheltered and unsheltered folks.
Mhm.
So we were able to feed them on a weekly basis with a installation of this vertical mural. And also we put one up for Jewish Family Services so we could supply them on a regular basis. But you don't need more than enough space that would house about 3 raised beds that are about 4 feet wide by 8 feet long.
Okay.
That's typically enough for us to justify sitting over a farmhand. Our website is pretty straightforward. There is a grow food link and there is a get food link. So if you're interested in having a garden, you just go to goodneighborgardens.com. You click on grow food. There's a little intake form there. You fill that out and we'll give you a call and we'll discuss it with you and see if, it feels like the right fit for you, and we'll come out. Now, I will say that the homeowner does pay for the installation because we're essentially doing landscaping in your yard. And we are really about creating jobs. We are, gardening in the past was something that people did for free. We really want it to be seen as a viable vocation. We want to attract people who want to make that their career, and we want to hire them and we want to train them. We pay anywhere from $16.50 to $23 an hour to start. All of our farmhands have a route of gardens. They may have 5 gardens, they may have 12 gardens, depending on what they want in their load. It's like I used to have a paper route when I was a kid. They have a garden route. Each homeowner gets visited for at least an hour a week, once a week, and the homeowner basically has their own personal farmhand. So you know how you have your mow and blow person that comes and mows and blows? Well, we come and grow. So now if you want to get food, and then so once we install the garden, we'll give you a proposal. This is our garden idea for your space. These are our design ideas. This is what we can do. And we can do it soup to nuts, from irrigation, rough plumbing, all the way through to micro irrigating and planting in your garden. We will give you a proposal for that. That is a cost. Then if you decide you want to participate in our maintenance program, some people choose to maintain their own gardens, and that's viable too. And we're still here for you if you ever want to share your bounty so we can share it with others. But if you decide you want us to maintain your garden for you, we'll give you your own personal farmhand. They will come once a week and they'll leave you a report every time they come. So that way you can learn even if you can't join them in the garden. You're not expected to, but it's nice if you can. Most of the time they go and they just do their work, and then they leave you a report with pictures telling you what they did, what they recommend, what's going to happen next, and how the garden's going to progress forward. We provide all the seeds and seedlings. You provide whatever supplies are needed. And so that's kind of how it works on the gracious neighbor piece of it, the garden host. You get to decide whether you want to share and how much and of what and when. It's not for us to determine, it's for you to determine. So we are accustomed to and trained to say, there's quite a few jalapenos on this bush. Do you want them all, or would you like to share a few? And that's kind of how that works. If you want to get food, you want to start to eat nutrient dense, locally, harvested, same day delivered, diet, that's something that we offer. The harvest boxes are comprised of anywhere from 12 to 16 items of fruits and vegetables that are locally grown and harvested in our Gracious Neighbor Gardens. And also we support small scale regenerative people who are growing food in the city on a small scale basis as well. We want to support them because we share the ethic and we want to make sure that they're encouraged in their work. Right now we have 3 refugees that we're working with. They're African ladies. They're wonderful. They started farming at the International Rescue Committee garden, which is the Roots Garden. One of them now has her own home plot in someone's yard in Ramona. So we support her. We also support her sister who's at the Roots Garden and another gal who's a friend. We support Pixka Garden, which is down at the border, and that's made up people that are farming there that are Mexicans. They're doing it the same way. They're very interested in regenerating the earth. So we use their food to supplement what we grow, and that way we can build a stronger farming community as we're building a stronger neighborhood. So if you want to get food, you just go to our Get Food link at goodneighborgardens.com and you subscribe there, and we'll send you a confirmation letter with your first harvest delivery date and all of the terms that you need in order to manage your subscription. And it's a cancel at any time, but it's a monthly auto debit. So that's how it works.
So I actually have a subscription. I don't know how many months I've been getting your vegetables now. It's wonderful. And I can vouch for the fact that, you can put it on hold because this week we were going to be away. So I didn't want the vegetables a week ago. So I just said, oh, you get an invite. You like Evite, if they send out an Evite a few days before your delivery and you can say yes or no. Yeah.
Yes.
And usually I say yes. And I've gotten, I don't know, fruit, lemons, gosh, how do you say that? Pomelo?
Yeah, pomelos,
Pomelos, I don't know. And then different kinds of vegetables like kohlrabi, but salads, an herb, several kinds of herbs.
Yeah.
But gosh, all kinds of vegetables. And
Yeah,
so it's really
yeah.
great. And you recycle everything, comes in a tub, you wash it out and you put it back out on your porch before your delivery and they take it and bring you a clean one and you sanitize them, right?
Yes, we do. We sanitize them. That's the biggest job, actually. Harvesting is a lot of work, but actually washing all those tubs and lids is a lot of work, but it really does divert a lot of waste. Our program is very much a conscious program in the sense that we want to make sure we're not generating a lot of waste. So you get 3 greens, basically 3 hards, which is like beets or carrots or celery or potatoes or kohlrabi. You get 3 hards, you get 3, hopefully 2 or 3 fruits, 3 greens, and you get herbs. And then usually there's an offering to do something extra if you want to pay extra for eggs, or if you want to have a bouquet of flowers, or if sometimes we'll have small businesses that we want to support. We'll have them offer their bread or their jam. And, we're going to be getting more into that. We're really excited about that. And
So
so
could you also tell about, I think you hinted at it, about the, returning our seeds and the compost, which I haven't done, but.
Yeah, so what we do is we're trying to make everyone really a part of the farm. Like people say, well, what can I do to help the environment? My little action, is it really going to matter? And what can I do? I live in an apartment and I can't farm. So what we do is we ask people to please save your seeds. We'll give them a little plastic bag that they can return so the seed stays fresh. We teach them how to save seeds properly. And then we collaborate with the Ocean Beach Library. There's a seed library there. So we donate all the seeds that we collect from our subscribers to the OB library. And that way we can continue to encourage farming in the city. We also sometimes use a paper bag to put like mushrooms in. So a lot of times we'll distribute mushrooms, or this week we did snap peas and we put our snap peas in a little brown paper bag. We ask folks to return those to us so we can rip them up and put them in our compost. So that way people are helping us make soil so we can top dress all of our garden beds and we can be healthy, make sure our soil is healthy at all times. We now have something called Full Circle Soil that people can sign up for, which is essentially they're going to collect their green waste, their kitchen scraps. A lot of times people say, I can't get through all the harvest. It's too much for me or whatever. So it's okay. Give it back to us in this little green waste neoprene sleeve, and we'll go ahead and turn that into compost. We also have the chickens that generate the eggs that we feed. So, all of that stuff is good. There's no waste here. And we're trying to, that's why we do the Evite. And every time, even though you subscribe, every time a few days prior to receiving your box, we'll ask you to RSVP for it. If you RSVP no because you're going to be out of town, or you just don't have enough room in your fridge because you hosted a party or something and you just can't take any more food this week, then you can say no. And when you say no, you get the opportunity to either gift it, which means you can donate it to someone else. We have a list of people who can't afford a subscription but would like a box, or you can bank it. And that means you can call it out, withdraw it anytime on an off week, or if you want to on a given week, you can do that. So we're really striving for zero waste so we can stretch the food and the food dollar and the space and the harvest as far as we possibly can.
Mia, I
Yes.
thought I would mention, there was an article, I think it was in the Union Tribune recently. I found it in the Spanish version because I used it for my Spanish conversation class. But as of January 1st, the state law is that we are to recycle all our kitchen scraps and all our green scraps. San Diego is apparently way behind. They say they will not reach the goal, but we are supposed to now have greens picked up weekly instead of every 2 weeks. And we're also to get those green cans plus little caddies to go in the kitchen.
Oh,
And so like, excuse me, even if you, I'm sorry, even if you've ordered a pizza, the pizza box with the grease and so on in it goes into that recycling for the compost.
yeah.
We,
Great.
about 2 years ago, we were up in Seattle and Vancouver, and they are much more green advanced than we are. And even in a hotel room, you would have like a 2-gallon green container.
Wow.
So that if you'd eaten peaches, you could throw the pits in there. And if you ordered pizza, you throw the box in there. But supposedly this is all supposed to happen here and throughout California in January. So it's a good thing for us all to start thinking about that we save all of this.
Yes, I love that. My sister's in Santa Cruz and they've had this for, I just can't believe that I have to, my farmhands and I always joke that we're constantly carrying green waste in our car, trying to find a green can, and when we were growing food on school campuses, because we've been on 14 different school campuses for a year contract here and there, they had green waste cans. So we were like, oh, we can, be responsible. But now we're really composting because our farm has grown. So now we really want to teach people how to properly compost, what to compost, what not to. And then, people are so good. They always return rubber bands to us. I mean, we really saved a lot of money, So together we're stronger. That's really what, we were put in a garden when we were first created. That was where God felt it was most appropriate to form us. And so, the garden is what was deemed good for us to eat. Everything in the garden was deemed good. And, the plants share nutrients. They don't really compete. People say, oh, don't plant your mint with other things because it's invasive. Sure, but there's a place in the garden for everything and everybody. We can plant mint over here and we can plant our other vegetables over there, right? And that's kind of, the garden teaches us how God designed us to be and live, and how, there's just so many parallels that I've been given about how we are the garden. And so we might as well act like it. And in order to act like it, we should be in it once in a while so we can learn. And, whenever I hire a new farmhand, the first thing I have them do when I'm evaluating whether they have the skills is I say, okay, meet me in a garden, but I don't go inside, just meet me on the sidewalk. And so we'll sit on the sidewalk together. And I say, before you walk into this space, I want you to take a moment and be still and be silent, because there is a verse that says, be still and know that I'm God, right?
Yep.
And what happens is before they walk into that space, they have to understand that it's a space where things are happening, life is happening, things are thriving, and miracles are happening. And if you're too busy and too distracted or not grateful, or you don't take the time to give a little gratitude, I say just take a moment to give thanks for the homeowner and their family for offering this space to grow food for themselves and others. And just in your own way, show a little, show a little gratitude in silence. And then when we go in, expect to see great things happening, because I'm going to evaluate what you see and how, and that's basically how it is my work is very therapeutic
Mhm.
for so many and for myself. And I always find a way to stay in it. I work late because I do want to be in the gardens.
Okay, cool.
And Mia, I have just another general question.
Yeah,
San Diego County is so vast. We have so many microclimates.
right.
Do you find that a challenge when you're planning gardens for different locations?
I find it a challenge, and I find it to be fortuitous, like there's certain places. What's nice about it, not everybody's ready to say, hey, I'll be the onion garden because onions do well in my garden. Sometimes they're like, I want cucumbers. We come from an I want culture. And most people are, I want my tomatoes, but when you say, tomatoes don't really grow that well in your yard because tomatoes need 6 to 8 hours of full sun and you're north facing. And so unfortunately, you know what, but celery does great here. Can you be the celery garden? It usually takes 3 seasons for us to bring someone to that point where they're willing to share like that. But when that happens, we know we have made the transfer, and so if they do sign up to be the celery garden, guess what? We're going to plant so much celery that they're going to desperately want to share it. So, if people would be willing to specialize, then there would be more available for others. And that's the goal.
Okay.
I'm impressed that this is also a medium for spiritual, the sort of a worldview and to share your spirituality. Do you
Yeah.
interpret that purposely, or is that
Yeah.
more?
Well, that's how I came to this, and so I felt like God, I said, we were praying to live in our purpose. We read A Purpose-Driven Life, and this is what God gave us to do. I found myself digging in the dirt, and I was actually in tears. I thought, how am I going to provide for myself? How am I going to support myself? We're selling harvest boxes for $30 a box, like what in the world is happening to me? I had 2,500 clients as a financial planner, and I had owned 2 homes in La Jolla. I was scared to death. But, I live in Hillcrest now. I live on the top of a 3-story building. I don't have a yard, but I can see 6 yards that we farm from my kitchen window. God is so, so good. And all the fruit trees, we have a fruit tree care and share program where if you have too much fruit on your tree, it's just falling on the ground. I mean, fruit is falling all over San Diego. We will come and we will give you a free fruit tree care consultation, or we will bring compost for your tree, or we'll offer you a harvest box in exchange for being able to harvest what you consider too much fruit. So, when we give you the fruit tree care consultation, we teach you how to care for your tree. And I think that that's a way to be responsible for the resources that God has given us to care for those edible trees, because they're our sister creation and they are there to support us by recycling our air so we can breathe, creating our water by transpiring and cycling the water. Without the trees, we really don't have life. So we want to make sure we're not just taking from the fruit tree like a consumer, but actually helping to support it as well.
Is there any other way that we who don't have garden space can participate with you other than what you might have talked about? Can we give you our compost?
Well, the reason why we started the Full Circle Soil program is because we want to make sure that when we carry compost in our vehicles, we carry it in a way that is very well contained, and that we don't take on more than we can handle. And so right now we just started that program. So I would say the Full Circle Soil program is only for subscribers. But when you subscribe to the Harvest, a portion of the proceeds does help us to put on events. We do the events called get downs. I mean, the Harvest box is called the pickup because we used to have people pick up at host sites. And the events are called get downs. We just did a series of events about planting natives in your edible garden and how important it is to plant natives to attract the right habitat and preserve our environment with birds and other living creatures and pollinators and such. And so we've collaborated with the California Native Plant Society to host 3 events in our gardens where we're teaching people about natives. I think the thing I would say if you want to be involved is to definitely sign up for our newsletter. So go to goodneighborgardens.com. sign up for the newsletter. We're going to be more diligent about generating newsletters because we've been doing a lot of talks lately with Black Lives Matter and, you know, Black-owned women businesses and everything you can think of. Black History Month. I've been asked to speak like at least 3 days a week.
Oh, gee.
So sign up for the newsletter. Consider subscribing to the Harvest. If it's too much, I won't advertise this, but I'll tell you on this call only. We have something called the Sweet and Sour 6-pack, where if you just want a little bit of food, you'll get 3 fruits, 3 vegetables, or sometimes 4 vegetables, 2 fruits in the Sweet and Sour 6-pack. It's a little less expensive and it's a little less food, or a lot less food, I should say. And then, we also have a link on our website where you can donate if you want to just donate to the cause. If you need a tax deductible receipt, we have a fiscal sponsor. We're not a not-for-profit, but we do have a fiscal sponsor, so we can generate that to you as well. That really helps us to build bigger spaces to grow food, in spaces where people may have the space at home, but they don't have a lot to invest in growing, making the space a growable space. Or we can bring in more people to the Soulful Green practice, where people are shadowing us at work and learning the vocation of growing food. You can come to our get downs. Those are the ways that you can involve yourself. You can become a Soulful Green practitioner. It's a 1-month commitment, 2 hours a week, shadowing a farmhand. And it allows you to come to our processing space. We call it our urban barn. It's here in Hillcrest. That's where we put our harvest boxes together, and you can come help with that.
Okay, so we would find that on your website also?
Soulful Green Practice. You would hit the practice button.
Uh,
Yeah. And we might start asking people to volunteer to help in our urban barn. So that's where we put the harvest boxes together and we fill out the lists, and we always put a little insert with your harvest box so you know exactly what you're getting. Because one of the fun things about this project, one of my favorite things, is that we get to introduce people to foods that are long gone. So a lot of heirloom foods. We've distributed something called the kohlrabi, which I don't know if a lot of people know what kohlrabi is. We distributed something called snake gourd, which was basically this long, really long, like 6 foot long bean.
oh my gosh.
Kind of tastes like butter popcorn. And it looks like a squash, but it's this long bean. If you go to our Instagram, which I don't know if many of you do Instagram, you can see all of the photos of, that's kind of where we live, is on Instagram, because we attract a lot of young people to this project, because they're the
That's
ones
great.
that are convinced that they can save the world. So most of our, all of our farmhands are young people, and people who attend our events are, there's a lot of young folks that come. But anyway, we love introducing people to new varieties of beans and tomatoes and, white bell peppers and lemon cucumbers and Lola Rosa eggplant and, things that you may not have seen or heard of. Fava beans. We do sugar cane. I don't know, Carolyn, you've gotten all these things in your box. So
Oh, well, I got the sugar cane
Got the
and the kohlrabi. I don't remember fava
you-
beans, but
you didn't get fava beans? Okay, well, we did fava beans the last 2 weeks.
oh, well, then that was when I didn't get it. So,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, you missed out.
Aw.
Purple snap peas, and all kinds of funky mushrooms, like lion's mane mushroom that mimics your nervous system, is so good for you. It's we get Gucci food, so and it's all fresh picked. So it's my joy, though, all that said, that's where God's taken me, but my joy and my prayer every day is, God, please teach me about you through the process of serving others in this way, and from being in the garden, so that I can share that with others. So my most recent post was on Instagram on Easter week. I think I'll read it to you, because you can kind of get a sense of who I am and how this is sort of my passion. One of our farmhands found a gopher snake in one of our gardens. And, gopher snakes look a lot like rattlers. And you don't know if it's a rattlesnake unless you can see the tail sometimes. And so it was a little alarming for her, but I found it interesting that she found it during Easter week.
Okay, Mia, hi, the snake story.
Oh, okay. Well, here's the thing, is you're not going to see my face. I'm going to read something to you, okay? So anyway, what happened was we found this snake, and I started, I was reading about Easter, and I ran into this with, this is what came to me in my meditation. So it's my Easter story. I said, this one is from my heart, so I will use my faith language, which is not intended to alienate anyone who does not resonate, but simply to share what I consider to be the best of me. I developed an irrational fear of snakes when I was an adolescent. I unknowingly ventured into a den of hissing rattlesnakes while hiking near my home in Colorado Springs. But the gopher snake pictured here is the rattler's non-venomous, good-natured look-alike. We found it sunning in one of our South Park gardens this week. I see it as a blessing and a timely Easter symbol of good. We've been plagued by gophers in that garden for several years, but we haven't seen one there now for at least a month, thanks to this snake, no doubt. Gophers tunnel through soil like yeast fluffs bread. They separate the plants from their grounding source, therefore destroying crops at their most vulnerable point of connection to life, their roots. In the Bible, yeast or leaven represents transgressions or sin, which is really just anything that separates us from our root of life source, which is God. Gopher snakes eat gophers that destroy good food in our bountiful gardens where we thrive and have abundant life. So I do not despise, nor am I afraid of the snake. On the contrary, I welcome it and I'm grateful for it. I often feel that Christ is misunderstood and not correctly identified, just like the gopher snake friend could easily be mistaken for a deadly rattler foe. And there's a verse on John 3:12-17 that says, if I've told you about earthly things and you don't believe, how will you believe if I tell you about heavenly things? No one has gone up to heaven except the one who came down from heaven, the human one. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so must the human one be lifted up so that everyone who believes in him will have eternal life. God so loved the world that he gave his only son so that everyone who believes in him wouldn't perish, but will have eternal life. And God didn't send his son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. So that's what sometimes I post little things like that.
That's great. It reminds me of Mary Oliver wrote a wonderful poem about the snake and how, she initially had this negative reaction, but then befriended the snake and ended up feeling empathy for the snake.
Yeah, yeah.
Does
Thank
anybody know, is
What's
there any
that?
place that you can buy or rent gopher snakes?
Oh my God.
We live in Bay Park and we are plagued with gophers right now.
Oh my gosh. Gophers, gophers, gophers. We do have a remediation strategy when we're building gardens for gophers. We use a hardware cloth, but it's sometimes when predators are allowed to persist, just the right, whatever hero comes along, I don't know if you've all seen the movie Biggest Little Farm, but it's really a good movie about this couple that started a farm up near LA and how they had I think it was a fox, or I think it was a fox. And then they were really upset with the fox because it kept eating all the chickens. But after a while, it realized that the fox was actually killing bigger predators, and they would have had bigger problems. So
It is a great movie.
Really good movie, yeah.
Yeah. So there was, we're about ready to close, but there was a question about how you're a for-profit. The person thought you would be a nonprofit if you were asking for donations. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so we don't exist on donations. We feel that if this is a viable program, people will pay for it. And so we're not at this time a not-for-profit. We don't want to be caught up in having to do all the not-for-profit compliance work. We want to grow food. And we really just want to teach kids, and we want to be able to do the things that we're doing the way that we're doing it. So we've decided we're going to stay the way we are. And we're not asking for donations. We're just saying, if you like what we're doing, you can make a contribution, but we're not dependent on it. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So if there aren't any other urgent questions, my husband Richard is going to share a prayer from the Book of Common Prayer for the harvest.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mia, very much. This is very
You're
enlightening
confirming
for me.
4:30?
Thank you.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
I'll tell him thank you. He's still sleeping.
Well, let us
Thank
pray.
you so much. Bye.
This is for the harvest, and it's on page 840 of the Book and Common Prayer, prayer number 9. Most gracious God, by whose knowledge the depths are broken up and the clouds drop the dew, we yield thee hearty thanks and praise for the return of seed time and harvest, for the increase of the ground and the gathering in of its fruits, for all the other blessings of thy merciful providence bestowed upon this nation and people. We beseech thee, give us a just sense of these great mercies, such as may appear in our lives by a humble, holy, and obedient walking before thee all our days. Through Jesus Christ our Lord, to whom with thee and the Holy Ghost be all honor and glory, world without end. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And just so one other quick thing, I know people have had to leave because of going actually to church.
I'm going to church.
Yeah, he's going to church. But next week, we're having Lee Van Ham, who we've had before for different forums and retreats and things like that. Phil, do you have anything to say about his presentation real quick?
I figured I'd be put on the spot. I can't even remember the title, but he's going to kind of address 3 things in ways that you can live more simply and intentionally. And one of them I know is bank accounts, but I can't remember the other 2.
Yeah, investments and bank accounts and stuff. Yeah. So he's the one of the co-founders, I think, of Jubilee Economics Ministries. So yeah. So he'll be with us next week, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody again. And thank you so much, Mia. Okay. And sign up to get the vegetables. They're great.
Thanks everyone for being here. That was wonderful to chat with you all.
Yeah, thank you. Great to meet you. Okay. So I guess we're ending, huh?
Thank
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See you in church. Bye-bye.